Hi everyone, I'm Lori Frank from Family Support at Community Living Victoria. This is the third and our final video in a series of videos we've been doing about transitioning from youth to adulthood for youth with disabilities. So moving from youth services and then at the age of 19 moving into adult services. And what we've been talking about are all of the steps that need to get completed and all of the kinds of things that some of the things that you may need to consider. It is a huge topic, and we've just decided to tackle a few issues in these videos so that we can start getting you thinking about what this transition could look like for the youth in your life, or if you are that youth, what that transition could look like for you. So in our first video, we did an introduction to transition, and in our second video, we talked about education and employment. In this video, we're going to be talking about legal considerations and financial considerations. So again, just like the other videos, this is a huge topic, and we could be breaking it down into many subcategories and doing videos on just each of those. So what I'm going to do today for you is just an overview of these topics, and then what you can do after the video is go to Community Living Victoria's website, and on there you will find lots more information on these topics and lots of resources. So you'll see the link for the website below this video, and it is communitylivingvictoria.ca. And like I said, lots more information there. So I'm just going to share my screen with you here. So like I said, today's topic is going to be legal and financial considerations. So one of the first things that we encourage families to get working on is all of the ID that you'll need to have in place for your youth. So some of it you may already have. Lots of people, sometimes they apply for SIN numbers when their child's quite young. You may already have things like birth certificates for a birth certificate for your child, but there may be things that you don't have yet. So making a list of all of that documentation and starting to get it in place. So again, this list will be on the website so that you don't have to memorize it today. But what you're thinking about are things like getting a BC ID. You can get this as early as 12 years old. Like I said, a social insurance number. Likely you already have a health card number in place. Birth certificate, if it's gone missing, you may need to get a replacement one. If your youth has any medical issues, you may want to get a medic alert bracelet as part of their ID. And for some youth, a driver's license may be part of their identification. So lots of things to think about. Make a list, move through it one by one, step by step. It can take some time. We all know how fast government paperwork can go. So don't be leaving it to the last minute. Again, like with everything, we encourage people to start thinking about all this stuff in grade 9 so that you've got lots of time before high school is over to get things in place. Another thing that sometimes comes as a surprise to parents is that once your youth turns 19 years old, they are now legally considered an adult, and they have all of the rights and responsibilities that come with being an adult. So there may be things that you need to put in place in order to assist your youth as they become an adult to understand all of those rights and to understand their responsibilities and to support them in decisions related to all of those things. So some of the things that people need to look into are supported decision making. What does that mean? What does that look like? Once a youth turns 19, the decision making can change a little bit, and people are looking, depending again on the youth's ability and who they are, but looking to them to participate in the decisions that they are making. Representation agreements, we always recommend looking at a representation agreement once your youth turns 19. And there's lots of information about that on the Community Living Victoria website. And for some people, you may be looking at adult guardianship options for your youth once they are an adult. So again, those are big topics. I'm not going to get into all of the details of them in this video, but I want to make you aware of them as things that you may want to go do some research on and find out what all is involved. Another big area for youth who are transitioning into adulthood is financial planning. So there are, again, lots of things involved under this topic. I'm just going to go through the list so that you are aware of some of them, and then you can start to go, yeah, okay, those are the things that apply to us, and those are the things we need to start getting into place. One of the very first things we always recommend is a bank account for the youth. This is because in the future, things like financial assistance checks need to be deposited into their bank account. And it's an opportunity through high school for them to start to learn about how to use a bank account. Related to that, it might be a great time to start to learn about budgeting and what things cost and how to pay for things. So through high school, you can start to set those kinds of skill development goals around money so that there is a better understanding by the time they turn 19 of how all of that works. Now, again, of course, like we've said in other videos, you're looking at who your youth is and the skills that they currently have and building from there. And that's going to be a different place for each youth. For some youth, they may never manage their bank account on their own and will always require support. For other youth, it may be something that they can accomplish where they are going to the bank on their own, using bank machines, all of those kinds of things, learning how to do online banking potentially. So of course, it's a spectrum of ability. So you'll just need to look at sort of where your youth is and what skills you can build on top of what they already have. The disability tax credit is something that you likely already have been applying for through your own taxes. Once your youth turns 19, then it will need to be connected to their taxes. And speaking of which, they will start to need to file their own taxes. And at age, especially once they start receiving their financial assistance, it will be important that they are then filing their own tax return every year. A couple other things to think about are the Registered Disability Savings Plan. If you've not already started one, it is an excellent government program that the earlier you start, the more money will be available later in life for your family member or for yourself if you are a youth watching this video. It is something where you don't even need to be making contributions. You just need to have the account open, and there's still very significant financial benefits for you to do that. So I highly recommend that you look into that. Again, lots of information on the Community Living Victoria website that will take you to links where there is lots more information. And if you already have a financial planner in your life, they are someone that you can also speak to about that. Banks do RDSPs, as well as many financial planners are able to set up RDSPs for you as well. You may already have a registered education savings plan in place, and so you might want to start to think about how you can use that. So sometimes we set these things up and we're not totally clear on how it all works when the time comes to use it. So you might want to get in touch with whoever you have your RESP set up through to find out what kinds of things you can use it for, because there are things often beyond just tuition that you can use your savings for. And so that might be helpful when you're making plans for your youth if they need specific equipment for school or those kinds of things. Sometimes those things can be funded through that. So lots of stuff to look into there. Like I said, it is a huge topic, the legal and financial piece of things. It is, and again, if you start early, it will not feel so overwhelming, but do just take it one step at a time. Getting those IDs in place and getting a bank account set up is a really great place to start, and then going from there and building on that. And again, starting early, starting grade 9 if you can on these things, and you may already have some of them in place, which is great. You've got a bit of a head start on things. We all know, even just for ourselves and our families, and that financial planning and legal stuff just can feel very overwhelming and can feel, and so we put it off. I mean, how many of us get well into adulthood before we've written a will for ourselves? So I really encourage you to break this down into small chunks so that it feels like something you can accomplish. Because it is really important, and some of the programs that your youth will want to access and some of the funding that they will want to access requires that some of these things are in place first before you can access them. So these are important pieces. Like I said, on the website, www.communitylivingvictoria.ca, there will be lots more information on all of this, and you can follow the links to the resources and start to do your research on what applies to you and what steps you need to take with your youth in order to get all of this in place. So that wraps up our short video series. I hope you found it helpful. Like I said, there are 2 other videos, an introduction to transition and the education and employment video. And on the Community Living Victoria website, there is lots of information and resources. So, and if you have questions or can't find what you're looking for, please do feel free to get in touch and ask your questions, and we can point you in the right direction. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.